Welcome to my gallery of Titanic people. It's really luxurious. It's very well put together. It's very fabulous. Of course. So this is Countess of Rhodes. She was the Countess of Rhodes. I don't know much about her. She, when the boat was sinking, she was in a lifeboat and she was singing songs, and that's what I know about her. This is Benjamin Guggenheim. He was a very rich guy. He would like a brandy. He was dressed in his best and was prepared to go down like a gentleman. He had a wife and a girlfriend. Mrs. Guggenheim is at home with the children, of course. This is Frederick Fleet. He was a lookout and he saw the iceberg. He said, "Iceberg right ahead." And then he survived in lifeboat 6 with Molly Brown. And then he died later because he killed himself because he was depressed over his wife's death. Here we have First Officer William McMaster Murdoch. He was putting women and children first, so he was putting men in the boats too. And he died, and that's what he did. So yeah. This is Charles Lightoller. He was the second officer. Charles Herbert Lightoller. He put women and children only, and he filled up boats, but less people than what Murdoch did, because he would not let any men on at all. And then he did survive. He got on Collapsible B, and he stood on it all night to keep it balanced. This is Harold Lowe, who was born in Wales, and his brother died in a boating accident, and then his dad wanted him to work in their family business, which was a jewelry store called Lowe & Sons. It's still open. You can find it on Google Maps like I did. And then he was like, "I don't want to work there," so then he went to Southampton to see if there's any boat companies to work for. He was like, "I don't want to work for these people either," so then he ran away. And then he somehow started working for White Star Line, and then when the Titanic was sinking, nobody woke him up. He just kind of woke up and was like, "Oh my God, the boat's sinking, what the heck?" And then he was helping both of them fill up boats. And then once it got to lifeboat 14, he was with James Moody, and he was telling James Moody, "We haven't seen a boat fill up with an officer, so it was like, one of us should go." And James Moody told him, "You go, I'll get the next one." He never did get the next one. And so Harold Lowe survived in lifeboat 14, where he did threaten to shoot a little boy who was like a man in 1912, but now he'd be a little boy. And then there's like a girl in the lifeboat, and she was like, "Don't shoot him." And then he let him go, but he was like crying by a pile of ropes. That's what happened to that kid. And then 3 people tried to jump into the boat, and then he shot his gun 3 times. He was not supposed to have a gun, I don't think, but he brought one anyways. And then he survived in lifeboat 14. The people in his lifeboat kept complaining, and then he said, "You guys just sing a song or take a nap, and I'd kill myself if I didn't have to take care of all of you." And then he brought some lifeboats together. He emptied out all the people from his lifeboat, and he brought a couple people back to go look for bodies in the water. He found a few people. And then he also got the people off of Collapsible A. And then he, in his interview, also when the boat was sinking, Julie Bruce Ismay was being a little brat, being like, lower way," and then he yelled at him, and then he was like, he didn't even know who Julie Bruce Ismay was. So then once it was time for their interviews, it was like, they were like, "Why would you do that to him?" He was like, "I don't know who that was." They also said that he might have been drunk when the boat was sinking. He was like, "Strongest thing I drink is water." Yeah, that's what he did. And then he got married, and he had 2 kids. His name was Harold Jr. and Josephine. And then he started fishing and stuff. And then he built a sailboat. And then he died of a stroke in 1944. This is James Moody. His family loved him a lot. They have a plaque on his old house in, I don't know, somewhere in England. And then he was on a boat, and he was He wrote a letter to his sister. He wrote a lot of letters to his sister. And he was like, it was his birthday. Nobody on the boat wanted to celebrate his birthday. And he was very upset about that. And on Titanic, he was a 6th officer. And he helped people get into boats like Ruth Becker. The person who was silenced over saying the boat broke in half for Ruth Becker. And then, yeah, that's what he did. And his family, he died. And then White Star was like, if you pay us $2,000, we'll send you his body. But they never found his body. So who were they trying to send his family? I don't know. This is Captain Edward Smith. He was known as the Millionaire's Captain. He was the most famous captain. He worked for White Star Line for a very long time. Titanic was supposed to be his last voyage before he retired. And he died. This is Thomas Andrews, one of the head designers of Harland and Wolff in Belfast. He designed Titanic, and he was on Titanic, and he was like taking notes. He'd just walk around the boat with a notebook, like taking notes about anything he needs to fix. And when Titanic sank, he was the one who told everyone the boat was going to sink, and he did die. This is Wallace Hartley. He was engaged, and he was the leader of the White Star Line band, and his wife gave him a violin, and he was playing till the very end, almost. And before Titanic, he said, if I was ever on a sinking boat, I would play Nearer My God to Thee, and that is just what he did, isn't it? I'm pretty sure. He played other songs, but yeah, that's what he did. And then once the boat was like truly about to sink, all the band people went and got their instruments and then jumped into the water. Then they found his body and the violin. They sent the violin to his fiancée. And then it ended up in an attic, and then someone found it, and then it sold for $1.3 million. Now it's in Belfast. This is Jack Phillips, the senior Marconi operator. He learned Morse code and working in a post office, and then he started working for Marconi. Oh, what is that? Yeah, he started working for Marconi, and the night before Titanic sank, the Marconi machine broke, and then they had a book, and it said to wait until they got to New York to fix it. But they were going to fix it anyway, which they were not supposed to do, but good thing they did. And then he sent messages all night. He never stopped until like 3 minutes before the boat broke. And his last message was, CQD, this is Titanic, because he could not finish it because Harold Bride was like making him leave. Someone tried to steal his life jacket, and Harold Bride killed that guy. So yeah, that's really fun. He got on Collapsible B, but then he died, and his body was buried at sea. He also celebrated his 25th birthday on the Titanic. So happy birthday, Jack Phillips. You got to be 25 for like a couple of days. This is Harold Bride, the junior Marconi operator. He worked on boats like the Oceanic and Lusitania, and he got on Titanic. He made £2 or euros, whatever, a month. And when Titanic was sinking, or when the captain told him, you better send CQD and tell whoever responds that we're going down by the head in need of immediate assistance. He said, we should try that new distress call, SOS, maybe our only chance to use it. And then he just kind of kept telling him that we should leave, like the boat's sinking. He was like, no, I ain't leaving. Then some lady who fainted ended up in the Marconi room. He was like, this lady really wanted a glass of water. And then he killed the guy that was trying to steal Jack Phillips' life belt. And then he helped get Collapsible B off of the roof of the officers' quarters. And then he got trapped underneath it, but then he got on top of it. And then his feet froze. And then when he got on Carpathia, his friend Harold caught him, was a Marconi operator. Nah, there's lots of Harolds. They're haunting me. And for some reason, they had him working on the Carpathia as a Marconi operator when he was just on a sinking boat. Why isn't Harold Cotton doing his job? I don't get it. And then when they got to to New York, the inventor of Marconi, I don't remember his first name, it starts with a G or something. And then it was like, oh my gosh, you did that and stuff. And you like did the interview and stuff with him. The New York Times offered him $1,000 for his story, and it's become one of the most famous or best written things in the newspaper. Then he got so famous from being on the Titanic that he moved to Scotland. And he died of like something in the 50s. I don't remember what he died of. This is in Cherbourg. A woman came aboard named Margaret Brown. We all called her Molly. History would call her the unsinkable Molly Brown. She was what Mother called new money. Her husband had struck gold someplace out west. She was traveling back to America. She's from Denver, Colorado. She was just on a trip to Egypt where she met her friend John Jacob Astor and Madeline Astor. She bought this little mummy thing there, and now there's a conspiracy that some really stupid people believe, thinking that a mummy souvenir that Molly Brown bought the Titanic sunk the Titanic. How could a mummy sunk a Titanic? That makes no sense. Icebergs can sink Titanic, not mummies. And then she survived. She is known as the unsinkable Molly Brown because she was like, we gotta go back, and then she was like fighting with Robert Hitchens all night because he's a little brat. He later got arrested. I forgot for what. He got arrested. And then she gave awards to Captain Rostron and everything. Now you can go to her house in Denver. It's a museum. This is JJ and Madeline Astor. That's their dog Kitty. He was the richest man on the ship. His little wife there, Madeline, is my age in a delicate condition. See, I was just trying to hide it. Quite the scandal. So, this is John Jacob Astor. He was like 40 something. She was 18. And she was pregnant with little JJ Jr. And they were on Titanic coming back from, I forgot they were coming back from a honeymoon or something like that, where they were in Egypt where they met Molly Brown. And then when the boat was sinking, he was like cutting open life belts and like showing her the cork inside. I don't know why she was interested in that, maybe. I don't know, people in 1912 were interested in. And then he was like, when she was getting to a lifeboat, he was like, I need to accompany her in this lifeboat, and they wouldn't let him. And then she was like, can you go get our dog Kitty? So then he went and got the dog out. The dog did not survive. And then he was kind of, I don't really know what he did in the boat sinking, but then he died from a funnel because they found his body and they found like $2,000 in cash in his pocket. And a pocket watch that just sold for like $1 million. They should have just given it to me. I would take really good care of it. And yeah, that's what they did. Madeline Astor survived, and she gave birth to little JJ Jr. And once they got to New York, she met up with her son-in-law, who is older than her. And, she was given a trust fund by the Astor family, which she gave up to remarry. And yeah, that's my Titanic gallery. It's very fab, you know, love never dies. With these people, I don't know who they are, but I just thought there's these ghosts, and why don't I decorate even better, because no one knows who these are. So I put up all these amazing people here, super fabulous, and we'll add more. I used a lot of printer ink, and yeah.